All right, ready to dive into a debate that's as old as time itself. Free will versus determinism.
Yeah.
It's a philosophical showdown, and you guys are not going to want to miss this.
It really is a question that has captivated thinkers, philosophers, and, just everyday people for centuries.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
what shapes our destiny?
Yeah,
Is it the choices that we make, or is there some invisible hand guiding us along a path?
totally. And today we're going to unpack this very question.
Okay.
Exploring the arguments on both sides, we've got a stack of fascinating sources that dig deep into this philosophical dilemma.
Yes.
Think of it kind of like a battle of ideas,
Yeah.
Free will versus determinism,
Yeah.
duking it out in the ring of human thought.
I like it.
But, you might be wondering why this even matters. Like, this isn't just some abstract philosophical debate, right?
Right.
It's about what makes us human.
Yeah.
Do we have the power to forge our own paths? Or are we just actors playing out a script that's already written for us?
Yeah, it's a question with huge implications. And to understand the stakes, I think we really need to meet our contenders.
Okay.
In this corner, representing order and predictability, we have determinism.
Determinism. Even the name kind of sounds heavy. Like the fate itself.
It is in a way.
Yeah.
Imagine like a being that sees the entire universe as this giant, intricate clock.
Okay.
Every event, every action, every thought, all predetermined, just ticking along like clockwork.
So from determinism's perspective, even something as simple as me choosing a veggie burger for lunch today was already decided.
Absolutely. Determinism would argue that this choice, like all choices, is really just a product of this long chain of causes and effects.
Okay.
Your genes, your upbringing, past experiences, even something as seemingly random as the weather that day. All contributed to that, seemingly spontaneous decision.
Wow. That's a bit of a mind bender.
Yeah.
It's like saying we're all along for the ride,
Right.
just following this pre-programmed script.
Right.
But wait, where does that leave free will?
Yeah.
Surely it wouldn't just sit back and accept this kind of fate.
Oh, no, not at all.
Right.
In the other corner, bursting with energy and defying those rigid clockwork gears, stands free will.
Okay.
And trust me, free will is ready to rumble.
Okay.
Picture this. Amidst the predictable ticking of determinism's clock,
Okay.
free will bursts onto the scene like a bolt of lightning. This surge of pure, unbridled possibility.
Okay, now that's an image. I can practically hear the crowd roaring.
Right.
So how does free will respond to determinism's claims of this preordained universe?
Well, free will points to the countless examples in human history where people have defied the odds,
Okay.
overcome these seemingly insurmountable challenges, and made choices that really seem to run counter to their own programming. Think about revolutionaries who fight for freedom, artists who break with convention, or everyday people who perform acts of extraordinary courage and kindness.
Yeah.
These are not the actions of automatons blindly following some predetermined script.
Right.
These are choices that are driven by something deeper, something that transcends those predictable laws of cause and effect.
So free will argues that we're not just puppets on strings. We have the capacity to make choices that genuinely shape our destinies. This is where things start to get really interesting.
I think so.
It's like free will is saying, sure, we're dealt a hand of cards, but we have the power to choose how we play them.
Exactly. And to illustrate that point, let's dive into a specific example.
Okay.
Imagine a person who grew up in poverty, surrounded by very limited opportunities.
Okay.
Determinism might suggest that statistically, this person is more likely to struggle economically,
Right.
to follow a predictable path laid out by their circumstances.
It's like saying their zip code determines their destiny,
Yeah,
which is a sobering thought.
it is, and a point that free will would fiercely contest.
Okay.
Free will would argue that even within those constraints, this person still has the power to choose a different path. They can choose to pursue education, work tirelessly to break that cycle of poverty,
Yeah.
and become a beacon of hope for themselves and their community.
That's a powerful counter-argument. It's about recognizing that while our past experiences and our circumstances undoubtedly shape who we are, they don't necessarily dictate who we become.
Exactly.
But I'm sure determinism wouldn't concede defeat so easily.
You're right. Determinism has a counter for almost every argument.
Right.
Determinism might say, yeah, that person overcame incredible odds, but those very experiences, the challenges that they faced, the people that they encountered, those things shape their determination, their work ethic, their belief in themselves,
Yeah.
even our values, our drive to succeed, our capacity for compassion. Determinism would argue that all of it is ultimately a product of our past.
So it's like determinism is saying, sure, go ahead, try to escape that web of cause and effect, but you'll only end up proving my point. It's a bit humbling, to say the least.
Right.
But I have a feeling free will has a comeback ready.
Oh, yeah.
What's their next move?
Free will doesn't back down so easily. Remember that bolt of lightning we talked about?
Right.
This is where it really starts to crackle with energy.
Yeah.
Free will argues that even if our past experiences shape our desires and our tendencies,
Right.
even if those experiences influence our values and our beliefs,
Right.
we still have this very fundamental capacity to choose how we respond to those influences. Let's go back to that person who grew up in poverty.
Okay.
Yes, their environment might have exposed them to hardship and limited opportunities,
Yeah.
but did they internalize those limitations?
And accept them as their fate? Or did they choose to challenge those limitations, to fight for something more?
Yeah.
That's where free will really comes into play.
It's like saying, okay, maybe I was dealt a tough hand, but I still have the power to decide how I play the game.
Exactly.
This is starting to feel less like a philosophical debate and more like an epic movie montage.
Right.
You know, the underdog rising above their circumstances, defying the odds, becoming the hero of their own story.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It captures the essence of free will's argument.
Wow.
It's about acknowledging that weight of the past without letting it crush the possibility of the future.
Right.
And to support this idea, free will might point to a fascinating concept from existentialist philosophy, radical freedom.
A radical freedom. That sounds intense.
Yeah.
What exactly does that mean?
Yeah.
It's this idea championed by philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre,
Okay.
that we are fundamentally free to define our own essence, our own meaning, through the choices that we make.
Okay.
Sartre believed that existence precedes essence,
Okay.
meaning we're born into this world without a predetermined nature or purpose.
Okay.
It's through our choices, our actions, that we create our own meaning.
So it's not about denying the influence of our past, but rather recognizing that we have the power to transcend it, to become something more than the sum of our experiences.
Yes.
That's a powerful idea.
It is, and it gets to the heart of what makes us human according to proponents of free will.
Yeah.
We're not just products of our biology, our upbringing, or our circumstances. We are beings that are capable of imagination, creativity, and moral reasoning. We can envision different futures, set goals, and strive to achieve them,
Yeah.
even in the face of adversity.
This is making me think about times in my own life where I faced these difficult choices.
Sure.
Moments where I had to decide, am I going to stay on this familiar path,
Right,
or am I going to take a leap of faith?
right. Are you going to play it safe, or are you going to, yeah.
It's like
Right.
it's like free will is saying, yes, those choices are influenced by your past, but ultimately the decision is yours to make.
Right.
You have the power to choose your own adventure.
I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And that sense of agency
Yeah.
of being the author of your own story
Mhm.
is something determinism struggles to account for. Sure, determinism might say that even our desire for adventure was predetermined, but can it really explain the feeling of exhilaration, of possibility that comes from making a choice that defies expectation?
That's right. It's that feeling.
A choice that feels genuinely free.
That's right. How do you account for that feeling?
That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
It's like determinism might be able to explain the mechanics of our choices,
Right.
the chain of cause and effect that led us to a certain point. But can it really capture that subjective experience of what it feels like to make a choice, to exercise our free will?
It's a question that's puzzled philosophers for centuries,
Right.
and it's a question that determinism attempts to address,
Okay.
albeit in a way that some might find unsettling.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
Yeah.
What's determinism's explanation for that feeling of free will? That sense of agency that we seem to experience so profoundly.
Determinism argues that this feeling of free will, this sense of making choices freely, is essentially an illusion.
An illusion. Whoa, determinism just went there.
Yeah.
So it's like, are we all living in the Matrix, convinced we're making choices when in reality it's all just pre-programmed?
Yeah.
That's a pretty bold claim.
It is.
I'm ready to hear how determinism defends this idea.
Well, determinism's defense rests on a rather sophisticated understanding of how the human brain works.
Okay.
It argues that our brains are incredibly complex machines,
Okay.
capable of processing vast amounts of information, weighing potential outcomes, making decisions based on this complex interplay of factors.
Right.
However, and this is the crucial point, determinism suggests that all of these intricate processes, all of the factors that influence our decisions, are themselves determined.
Wow.
Our thoughts, our desires, our very sense of self. All of it can be traced back to a chain of prior causes and effects, stretching all the way back to the beginning of time.
So it's like determinism is saying, yes, your brain is making decisions, but it's doing so based on this set of predetermined conditions.
Yeah.
Much like a computer running a complex algorithm.
Exactly.
It's a mind-blowing concept.
It is.
And I can see how it would be unsettling for some people.
Yeah.
It's like saying that even our innermost thoughts and feelings aren't entirely our own.
That's a common reaction to determinism.
Yeah.
But despite the potentially unsettling implications,
Yeah.
determinism isn't without its own form of allure.
Allure. That's an interesting word choice.
For some, determinism offers this kind of sense of peace,
Okay.
this release from the burden of responsibility.
Okay.
If everything is predetermined,
Yeah.
then in a way, nothing is truly our fault.
Right.
We're not to blame for our mistakes, our shortcomings,
Hmm.
or even our misfortunes, you know.
Yeah.
It can be a strangely comforting perspective,
Right.
especially in a world that often feels so chaotic and unpredictable.
I can see that.
Yeah.
It's like saying, okay, the universe is playing out as it should, and there's a weird sort of comfort in knowing that there's this grand plan, even if we don't always understand it.
Yeah, like it's all taken care of.
Right, right.
It's out of your hands.
But free will wouldn't just concede defeat based on the allure of comfort.
Oh, absolutely not. This is where free will would likely make its final stand.
Yep.
And it's a powerful one.
Okay.
Remember, even if we are playing this hand of cards we didn't choose,
Right.
free will argues that we still choose how to play those cards.
Okay.
We choose how we respond to challenges, how we treat others, how we make meaning in a world that might seem inherently meaningless.
That makes me think of Viktor Frankl,
Yes,
the psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust.
powerful example.
He wrote about how even in the face of unimaginable suffering, when stripped of everything else, humans still retain the freedom to choose their attitude.
Yeah, their attitude, exactly. And it's a powerful example. And it speaks to the heart of free will's enduring appeal.
Right.
Even if we don't have control over all the circumstances of our lives, we still have control over ourselves, our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions. And it's through those choices, those acts of self-determination, that we truly experience what it means to be human.
So where does this leave us? We've explored the arguments on both sides, delved into these complex philosophical concepts, even touched on the deeply personal ways that this debate plays out in our own lives.
Right.
What's the final verdict?
You know, the truth is there is no easy answer.
Okay.
The debate between free will and determinism is one that has raged for centuries, and it's unlikely to be resolved anytime soon.
Right.
But maybe that's okay. Maybe the real value of this debate isn't in finding some definitive answer,
Right.
but in the journey itself.
It's about grappling with these big questions.
Yeah.
Expanding our understanding of ourselves and the universe.
I think so.
And ultimately, embracing the mystery of it all.
It really is.
It makes you realize that even without a clear winner, we all experience moments that resonate with both sides of this debate.
Exactly.
Right.
Think about a time when you felt completely in control, like you were consciously shaping your destiny with every decision you made.
Okay.
Now contrast that with a time where you felt swept along by forces beyond your control.
Yeah.
Like you're caught in a current, too strong to resist.
Right. Like you were just on autopilot almost.
Exactly. It was like, well, what was I going to do?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's those moments, those contrasting experiences that really remind us of the complexity of this debate.
That's right.
It's not about picking a side,
No.
but about recognizing that interplay of these forces in our lives.
I think that's it.
Right. Like they can coexist.
Yeah.
And maybe they even need to coexist.
Yeah. And perhaps
Yeah.
it's about finding that balance between accepting what is and striving for what could be. Maybe the real magic, the real essence of being human lies somewhere in that tension, in that space between fate and free will.
Wow. That's a powerful thought to end on.
I think so.
So as you go about your day, as you make choices, both big and small, just remember that ongoing battle between free will and determinism that's playing out within you.
Right.
And instead of seeking some definitive answer, embrace the mystery, explore the possibilities, and remember that you, the listener, have the power to choose how you show up in this world.
Love it.
This has been quite the deep dive.
It has.
Philosophically stimulating and surprisingly relevant to our everyday lives.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks for joining us as we explored this timeless debate. Until next time, keep those questions coming and keep diving deep into this fascinating world of ideas.
See you next time.